To talk about interoception, why it's important for physical health, why it's important for mental health, and how it relates to spiritual health. We use the term interoception to refer to feelings in the body, from internal organs and tissues, the hormones in your blood, your immune system, the trillions of microbes running the show in your gut. It's how you know when your heart is beating fast or when you need to take a deep breath, when you're hungry or thirsty, hot, cold, nauseous, or tired. Interoception is feeling what's happening on the inside. Some of the signals you're consciously aware of, and some signals to the brain are outside of conscious awareness. Perhaps it's obvious why it's so important for physical health. It keeps you alive. Interoception signals when there's a problem, that you're sick or tired or need food to sustain you. It also tells you when things are working well. It feels good in your body when you are healthy and rested and well-nourished. When you are exercising, it's how you know that you have more to give, when you're reaching your limits or when you're at risk of injury. Interoception is how you feel that your heart is beating and your lungs are burning and you feel damn good at your best. Good physical health depends on good interoception, and good mental health depends on good interoception. The scientific community now recognizes that interoception plays a central role in cognitive and emotional processes, memory, decision-making, emotional regulation, social interactions, one's sense of self, and even consciousness itself. When you feel good in your heart, you are literally feeling good in your body. When you meet someone new or have a decision to make and you listen to your gut, or when you're socially uncomfortable, you're literally feeling it in your body. We also know that interoceptive dysfunction, meaning less sensitivity to what's happening in your body, can contribute to impairments in social, cognitive, behavioral, affective, and somatic processes associated with some psychopathologies, such as anxiety, depression, addiction, eating disorders, and PTSD. Not being able to feel what's happening in your body messes with your head. What may matter more than any of the cause is what to do about the effect. Is there a way to increase vagal tone, downregulate more readily in safe environments, and increase interoceptive sensitivity? There seems to be. It takes two things: remove the trauma and practice. First, we have to stop the trauma that's causing the problem. Spend time in safe social environments, train your nervous system to know when it's safe. Ritual is really good for that. I'll circle back on ritual in a separate video. Fix and remove the relationships that are toxic or harmful, set healthy boundaries, and be part of a socially safe community. In removing trauma, I think we have to include dietary trauma because of the metabolic correlation. Avoid insulin-spiking foods, limit alcohol, pass on highly processed foods. They all mess with your body cocktails in negative ways. Nutritional psychology is a growing field as we better understand the connection between the nervous system, cellular functioning, hormones, and the gut microbiome, which again, we can sense interoceptively. The foods you put into your body have a profound effect on its functioning, including how your body feels and how well you feel it. Once trauma is out of the way, it's just a matter of practice. This is the whole point of this video, the value of practiced interoception. Good mental health depends on good interoception, so therapists are increasingly recommending activities and practices that focus attention on improving it. Let me give you a few examples. Mindfulness is all the hotness in therapy right now, as practitioners encourage patients to become objectively aware of moment-to-moment sensory inputs. So we have things like acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, where mindfulness plays a central role. And there's mindful awareness and body-oriented therapy, MABT, and mindful-based art therapy, MBAT, and cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, among a million other variations. You cannot find a good book on mental health these days that doesn't advocate for mindfulness. Number 2, meditation. Clearing the mind of its meandering thoughts and focusing attention inward. It helps to focus on breath, maintaining concentration on feeling the lungs and the diaphragm and the movement of air. Breath work gets its own line item because not only do you feel the feelings of your lungs and diaphragm, but breathwork exercises sometimes includes things like hyperventilating, followed by a breath hold, where you focus your attention on other sensations in the body, such as heart rate or tingling or body temperature. There's also a meditation practice called body scanning, in which you focus your attention on each part of the body, starting from the very tips of your toes and feeling how they feel, and slowly working your way upward, noticing how each part of the body feels. It's an entire meditation focused on interoception and highly recommended for mental health. Perhaps you've heard of grounding, a self-soothing technique focusing one's attention on the sensations in the present moment. It is a close cousin of mindfulness. Sometimes it's recommended as a game like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, where the patient notices 5 things they see, 4 things they hear, 3 things they can feel, 2 things they smell, 1 thing they taste. Another version of grounding, though, is earthing. Standing barefoot on the ground, feeling the earth, and focusing your attention on sending energy downward through the body and into the ground. And another technique is to walk a patient through noticing how an emotion feels. Where do you feel it in the body? How big is it? What shape would it be? If it was a color, what color would it be? And then we name it. This is an interoceptive practice. Brené Brown's amazing book, Atlas of the Heart, helps to identify and name different emotions. Practicing at feeling emotional granularity and nuance is not just broadening your vocabulary, it's an interoceptive practice of tuning into the differences in body cocktails. Whether or not you are purposely trying to focus your attention inside, there are other things you can do to make your body more feelable. Exercise and body movement. Making your heart beat faster, your lungs work harder, your muscles contract, and body move is a practice in body awareness, proprioception, and interoception. Body movement, exercise, is at the top of the list for somatic therapies. Although it's important the activity be enjoyable, so therapists might not recommend HIIT or running for every patient, but they often recommend hiking, dancing, or yoga as a better starting point. Yoga is all about practice interoception, from focusing on and aligning your breath with your movements to feeling the stretch and noticing the differences from left to right, noticing how your heart rate comes down when you pose through an inversion. You set aside an hour to come inside and notice. Playing music, drum circles, and singing are also on the therapists would recommend list. Whether it's the vibration of the drumming or the diaphragm lifting or using every drop of breath as you finish the phrase, you can feel it in your body. Hot and cold exposure are great for mental health, great for making you listen to your body. I find cold exposure immediately pulls my attention inward. If I am going to survive an ice bath, it is by tuning out the cold on the outside and putting all of my attention on the inside. And it has proven benefits for relieving symptoms of anxiety and depression. I would consider fasting an interoceptive practice as you spend time in and ratchet up hunger pangs until they pass and you feel that too. With a clean slate, your body freed from the influence of recently ingested foods, you might feel yourself differently, noticing how it feels to not be bloated or gassy, for example. And there are mental health benefits. When the brain switches from using glucose into the more efficient energy source of ketones, you think more clearly and relieve brain fog. And I can't talk about feeling in your body without mentioning sex. Always best when you are tuned in that moment with singular focus. An important factor in good mental health and often suffers through episodes of poor mental health. Okay, so the conclusion here is to practice at feeling your body and feeling what's happening inside of your body. All of these practices improve vagal tone, improve HRV, and interoceptive sensitivity. If it improves HRV, chances are it's good for mental health. But HRV wasn't popularized by psychologists, although that is what turned Porges onto polyvagal theory. No, it was popularized by the health and fitness community because HRV is a good indicator of good physical health. And what do they recommend? Diet, exercise, fasting, hot and cold exposure like saunas and cold plunging, healthy sexual functioning, and even meditation and breath work. The point is, it's the same damn list. Good mental health, good physical health, same list. Practiced interoception and HRV. I should mention that good sleep hygiene is important for HRV and a priority for mental and physical health experts. I don't think I can count it as practiced interoception, but it is super important for HRV and cannot be overlooked. Remember at the beginning when I said interoception is important for spiritual health and even consciousness itself? Well, let's talk about a couple states of consciousness that people describe as spiritual. The first is flow. Flow is a state of consciousness that was studied and popularized by a guy named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. It is a self-forgetful state where you are so wrapped up in the task of what you are doing that actions and awareness merge. And how does one find themselves in a state of flow consciousness? Exercise and body movement. Runner's high is flow, but it can also happen when you're swimming or dancing, rock climbing, doing yoga, martial arts. You know, the stuff that makes your heart race and your lungs burn and your muscles work. Body movement. And another way is through playing music, drum circles, and singing. Flow is also accessible through reading, problem solving, creating, innovating, spending time in nature, and making art. Although these activities are arguably less directly tied to interoception. But it is not lost on me that interoception clearly plays a central role in consciousness if these vagus nerve stimulating activities, yes they are the path to this alternative state of consciousness. Although flow has the potential to make life more rich, intense, and meaningful, it's not necessarily the first thing that comes to mind when you think of spiritual experience. For that, you might think of experiences that elicit wonder and awe and joy and peace and love and gratitude. It should be noted then that in the scientific study of these emotions, especially gratitude, forgiveness, and awe, it has been shown, each one of them, to stimulate the vagus nerve and affect HRV. The state of consciousness, often held as the pinnacle of spiritual experience, where all of these feelings are present at once, is sometimes called a peak experience, a state of self-transcendent ego death or enlightenment in which the universe is perceived as a unified whole, an individual's ego sense of self disappears, and they feel merged with fellow man and nature, the mystical, the sublime. Eastern religions and yogic texts provide explicit instructions to experience this no-self state of consciousness by turning attention inward through meditation, breath work, and yoga. But in fact, you'll notice that many of the activities that have historically been cornerstones of religious practices in religions across the world include ritual, music, singing, chanting, walking meditations, ecstatic dance, sweat lodges, dietary guidance, and fasting. Sex can be a transcendent experience and has also played an important role in many religions around the world. It's the same damn list. For every one of these practices that we've discussed for physical health or psychological well-being, there are countless accounts of spiritual experiences arising, creating a sense of uplift and awe. If interoception is playing such a central role in religious practices, perhaps it's a key ingredient in spiritual health. Growing up with religion, the concept of your body is a temple was always taught to me to be about sexual purity. Keep your body clean and sexually pure. And then I read the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and it says, your body is a temple because you must come inside to feel God. And that made a lot more sense to me. That was in keeping with my experience. As an atheist, agnostic, I don't like titles, but I'm not advocating for the rightness or wrongness of any religion or particular conception of God. But what I am saying is that perhaps our ancestral spiritual practices were onto something that science is just now catching up to. You might think that the path to spiritual transcendence is away from the body, that heaven is above us, transcendence is outside of us. But the path to transcendence is an interoceptive process of turning your focus inward, from the exterior to the interior, from the interior to the superior. Or as the Buddha said, the way is not in the sky, the way is in the heart. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi said, enlightenment is the normal, natural state of health for the body and mind. It results from the full development of consciousness and depends on the perfect and harmonious functioning of every part of the body, all the body cocktails, and nervous system through the vagus nerve. This is life free from suffering, life lived in its full stature and significance. Spiritual experience then calls us to put the body and nervous system into a state of health. Interoception and HRV has provided us with a roadmap for flourishing in mind, body, and spirit. Harmonious functioning of the body and nervous system requires good vagal tone. And the things that improve vagal tone are also the activities that humans have made spiritual practices for millennia. So, practice interoception because you are trying to improve physical health and HRV. Or practice interoception for better emotional regulation and mental health. Or practice interoception on a spiritual journey from the interior to the superior. Live and feel fully in your body because that is the only place life can be lived in its full stature and significance. And that feels good. It literally feels good in your body. My hope for you is that you feel good in your body. And the more things you do to feel it, the better it will feel.